Welcome to the Blue Cafe. We bring you stories of faith, love, and devotion. Yeah, just kidding, please help us grow by hitting that like button. Now on to the story. Found out that my 27 meters, GF 25F, was a sugar baby and she pretended like it was nothing. We dated for like 3 years and I'm planning to propose to her during Christmas, but yesterday after a party something about her past came out and I asked her after the party, is that true that she was a sugar baby before dating me, and she just said yeah and continued looking at her phone like it was nothing, but actually I'm hurt, and my reply was just oh. She didn't even ask me if I was okay or acknowledge my feelings. Don't know what else to say, but I feel really disgusted. Don't know what to do next. I really wish she told me before we are dating. Yeah, before talking to her he's got to figure out if no matter what, that's a hard pass for him. If it is, and I understand why, it's effectively SW which isn't for everyone, then he shouldn't even talk to her, because obviously questioning her about it then dumping her will be clearly shaming her. There isn't anything wrong with the choices she made, but no one has to date you. If he thinks the details matter, then delicately talk to her about it. Right. If it's a problem, leave. Don't make her feel subhuman. No, he's not doing that purposely. I didn't say that. It does mean that based on her described body language, she was possibly feeling that way. Exactly this. If it is a deal breaker for you, I could be wrong but it seems so, otherwise you won't be posting this here. Then don't proceed in this relationship. Do not shame her, punish her or be passive aggressive towards her. But don't let anybody do the same to you for having standards/boundaries and living up to them. I suggest you take some time and calm down. Put the proposal on hold and think. If this really is a deal breaker, then you know what you have to do. Info: did she know the sex work was a deal breaker for you? Or did it just never get mentioned and that is why she is so nonchalant about it? Thank man, I really need to take some time and calm down. Reading most of this advice is really not helping. I got attacked so much. We never talk about the sex work thing before, this is the first time. I would highly recommend not calling it sex work until you're 110% sure she was indeed having sex with this guy. Plenty of sugar babies just do dinner and dates. Honestly, it doesn't seem much different than having a wealthy boyfriend, but you can have your own opinion. How this whole thing came out is way more interesting to me. Did you run into the guy? Did someone else mention it? How did they know? So many questions. Sorry, but with or without sex it is sex work. Coming from a sex worker lol. The replies here are whack in both directions. Basically, it's your right to feel some type of way about this. No shame in being a sex worker, but she should also know it's something that people do have personal boundaries, feelings about, and she should have been open with you from way earlier. I would take some time to think through it personally and decide whether it's a deal breaker for you, or if you might be able to move past it. Then you could try to talk to her and understand her perspective. Your feelings may depend on the exact circumstances, reasons, nature of the relationships, etc. Fundamentally, it's not wrong for you to have your own feelings about this. Don't shame her for her choices when you talk to her, but it's also okay for you to decide it's not something you can be comfortable with and you need to walk away. Update: found out that my 27 meters, GF 25F, was a sugar baby and she pretended like it was nothing. I was planning to be mature and ask her more about it, but before I could do that, she already made the first move. She asked me if everything is okay since that night because she can sense something is really off. And I explained everything. I don't want to go further, but my curiosity is dying to know more, and she told me the truth because she couldn't lie to someone she really loves. She told me how many sugar daddies she has, and yes, she slept with all of them, but it wasn't wonderful. She needed the money so bad, that is why she does such a thing. After we dated, she stopped doing those and focused more on her relationship with me and already had enough money for tuition fees, etc. She cried and told me that she never brought this up because she knew that I would leave her and she already knew that this day would come, but she just couldn't lie to me. We cuddled and made love that night. I understand that we all lived through the lowest point of our lives. I myself have been through that. At the moment I'm still undecided what to do, but leaving her would be the last thing to do right now, and maybe checking myself into therapy. I love her to death. She helped me throughout my depression, anxiety and many mental health issues, and it would be shitty leaving her due to my insecurity. At the same time postponing my marriage proposal till I fix my insecurity, and she is willing to stand by my side. I believe this is just another phase or challenge in our relationship. We get through this together. I love you, N. I'm convinced most of the people commenting here didn't read the whole post. Maybe just the first bit. Oop admits to his own insecurities and says he will go into therapy for it. He clearly loves this woman, and is trying to make it work. Putting off engagement until they've figured it out seems like a good idea to me. Yes, and Oop admits to his own insecurities and says he will go into therapy for it. Dating a current or former SW has its own, mostly negative, pitfalls. You can't just blindly say he should get over it when he wasn't even presented with the option to accept or decline said challenges, especially after clearly stating he didn't want to deal with them in the first place. Denying someone the agency to decide, especially since she already knew he'd have passed, is ducked up, and it needs to be acknowledged plainly without all these yeah but excuses. He's allowed to not want to date someone if their history doesn't align with his expectations in a partner. What if he found a video of her online? What if one of her past Johns sent it to him out of the blue because she wouldn't work with him anymore? What if he ran into one of her former acquaintances and they casually dropped a night they worked together? The withholding is the crime here, not being a sex worker. The circumstances that put her there may be understandable, but nothing else here is on her end. I have personally dated an SW but wouldn't date an alcoholic, flight attendant, lawyer, or someone working for an organization that opposes my worldviews. My reasons are my own and I'm allowed to keep them if they aren't harmful to those involved. Sex positivity and sex workers' rights are important and should be protected, but straight up lying about your job so you can con someone into a long-term relationship unwittingly isn't fair. He isn't disenfranchising her by not wanting to date a SW. Edit, I'm not here to argue over minutiae. He's allowed to say yes or no to anyone based on any reason he likes. Dating him is not a public service. He gets to pick who he wants. This is full stop his choice and you can like it or not like it, it's still his to make. Hell, I don't even like it, but everyone here completely disregarding his agency and clearly voiced boundaries here is ridiculous. He chose to stay despite this, and he's entitled to his struggle over not being given the opportunity to choose, when she founded everything on an intentional lie. She doesn't get a pass just because it's SW instead of being an alcoholic or flight attendant. Edit 2, his fiancée was a full contact sex worker. It's not McDonald's. It is not just a bad job. Sex work has a pervasive history of drug use, physical, mental, emotional, and sexual abuse, frequent trafficking, and occasional murder, double for full contact. Additionally, there's a large hand-in-hand conjunction of SW and mental illness, a lot of women going into it and most coming out have trauma to deal with as a result of working in the industry. If he doesn't have the wherewithal to handle it, it's no one else's call to make. It's a duck ton to deal with for sex workers, and it's part of the reason most SW disclose early, which just circles back to the original point. She lied to his face so she could con him into a long-term relationship she knows he would have refused initially. Not for his benefit, for hers. This is the problem. The number of you okay with blatant lying is insane. It absolutely is his business. He's been lied to by his partner, and everyone who thinks that's okay probably shouldn't be dating, or at least should have their partners notified they think that way. Denying someone the agency to decide, especially since she already knew he'd have passed, is ducked up, and it needs to be acknowledged plainly. I absolutely agree with this. My partner is a sex worker, and I most certainly would have had a very different reaction to that news had I not known about it before we ever messaged one another. He had it very plainly in his dating bio, and made it clear that it was solo work and strictly online. He refers to himself as a cam boy. Had none of that happened, I might be in Oop's shoes, so he shouldn't be faulted for having a negative reaction to news that he was blindsided by. We hope that by sharing these stories with interested folks like you, we can help people recognize the signs of a relationship in trouble, and avoid so many of these heartbreaking situations yourselves. Have a good day or night, wherever you are.